Hello, Mohit. Thanks for joining.
Hi Ankit. Hi.
Good evening. So, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, Ankit. What about you?
I'm doing good as well. So, would you like to start by telling a bit about yourself?
Yeah, of course. So I've recently done my graduation in computer science.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Mohit. So, let's start with the interview. I am going to be asking you two coding questions based on
Mm-hmm.
DSA. And yeah, let me share you the questions now. So, would you mind sharing your screen?
Uh, yeah, sure. I'll just share my screen.
Yes. Please share your screen and I'll share you the question here on chat.
Are you able to see my screen?
Yep, I can see your screen. Okay, so you are gonna be coding in Python, is it?
Yes, yes, yes. I'll be coding in Python.
Sure. What is your years of experience in Python?
Um, so I started coding in Python when I was in 10th grade. So
Hmm.
uh, 11th and 12th, I was totally coding in Python. But in college time, I kind of shifted to JavaScript, CSS, and Java a little bit. But like last month, I've started coding again in Python. So
Okay,
yes, I'll be coding in Python.
got it. So I've
All
sent you
right.
the question.
Mm, okay. I'll just copy this and paste on my compiler so that it'll be easy.
Yep, sure. And I'll give you some input and output examples as well so that you can understand the question.
Okay,
Please go
sure.
through the question and let me know if you have any doubts, any extra other questions, or any clarifications needed.
Let me just go through it once and then I'll let you know.
Sure.
Mm, All right, so given two strings ransom note and magazine return true if ransom note can be constructed by using the letters from magazine and false otherwise. So basically, we have this particular string, and the question is that whether we can make this particular string from this particular string.
Right. So have you ever seen a ransom note?
Actually, I have not. I don't know the meaning of ransom note.
So suppose someone gets kidnapped. The kidnapper has to send you a note.
Mm-hmm,
He doesn't call you, but sends you a note. And in that note, he
mm-hmm,
doesn't want to write in his own handwriting because people might get to know from the handwriting, right? So some people
mm-hmm.
put out letters from the magazine to the words like that. So this question is like that. So you're trying
Oh,
to generate
mm-hmm,
this ransom note from the given magazine. So in the magazine, you have
mm-hmm.
this many letters and you have to generate this in the ransom note.
Okay.
So you have to figure out if you can generate that ransom note which is given to you. If it is possible, then you have to
Mm-hmm.
return true. If it is not possible, then you have to return false.
Okay. Uh, so I
So,
think I have a approach for this problem. So basically, I think using dictionary would be a good option here.
but let's go through the examples first. Let me know how
Okay.
is it understanding and why is the output the way it is given.
Okay. So basically, in the first output, if we see, we have ransom node, which is A, and we have magazine, which is B.
Right.
So since A is not present in this particular string, that's why we return it as false.
That
And
means.
similar. as we see in the other input, we have AA as ransom node, and in magazine we have A comma B.
Right.
So since B is not present in ransom node and it's present in magazine,
Mhm.
okay, no, no, no. It'll be like this. So in ransom node there are two A's, but in magazine there is only one A.
Mhm.
So hence we can't do it. And in this one, since ransom node has double A and magazine also has double A, so we can kind of generate it.
Yeah.
So we'll return true.
So for each letter, we need count as well, right?
For each letter, we'll be needing a count. Yes, yes, yes. That's why I was like going with the dictionary. So what I'll do is I'll basically create a map or a dictionary for ransom node, and I'll create a dictionary for magazine
Mhm.
with its letters, and I'll store the count of these things, and then basically I'll just iterate through maybe I'll just iterate through ransom node dictionary, and I'll just keep on checking if the element, like the key of A, and how much is the count. So if the count of ransom note is so like if I have the two here, but if I have only one here, I'll just return false. I'll do something like that. I'll just code it and then we'll see like how is it going.
Okay. So you would create dictionary for both the strings, or just creating for one string would be enough?
Uh, I believe creating for both of the strings would be good because I'll be comparing with the count, right?
Okay. Okay. I think that sounds good. Let's go ahead with the coding part.
Okay, so I'll just create some dummy strings for right now. Okay, so I have my ransom note, I have my magazine.
Mhm.
So what I'll do is I'll do a R map, or I'll just write it as R for right now. M is equal to this. So I'll just store the count of the characters in these two dictionaries. R is for ransom note and M is for magazine.
Okay.
So let me just write the boilerplate code for this. So for I in ransom, for I in ransom note, if I in R of I plus equal to 1, else we do R of I is equal to 1. So by doing this one, we'll get the count of everything in ransom note. And what I'll do is I'll just change this to magazine, mixine, and for I in M, and then M. So basically right now I'll have the count for both of them. So
Okay.
if I do a print of M and then I do a print of R, I think I should have the values with me. Okay, so basically this particular thing is working.
Mhm.
Is equal to 2 and this. And now what I'll do is, so if I just iterate through one of them, right? So for I in R, and if I'm seeing, so mm, 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 ransom magazine, and then I have it like this now. So if so, I have to check that whether this particular I is
Mhm.
present in my M or not, right? If in my magazine. So what I'll do is I'll just check if M of I is present or not. So basically, I think for this we can't really use this M of I because it returns a key error and my code will stop working. So I think for this I'll have to do the get function, like I'll have to use the get function. What I'll do is I'll do m dot get I, and what I'll do is I'll just do it as 0. So if m dot get I is true.
Why is that zero passed in the get function?
So this get function, it basically returns, so it's not a need. So what we do is in get function, we use it like this. So uh, dict name dot get, and then the key you're trying to find here. So
Mm-hmm.
this will be a key, and then it also takes an optional argument, which is the thing which you want to return. So by default, this function returns us none if it is not found,
Mm-hmm.
and it returns us the value of that particular key.
Okay.
So if I don't want this none to be returned and I want something else to be returned, it will return me something else. So if I write maybe not found here, so
Mm-hmm.
it will return me not found instead of
Okay.
none. So I
Okay.
just pass zero to just do it like that. But
Mm.
okay, it's fine. I won't pass zero. So if m dot get I is there, and if I have to check, okay, what I'll do is I'll just put an else here also. Mm, Also, I'll have to check that if m dot get I should be. Okay, what I'll do is mm, I'll just do r of I should be greater than or equal to. How would it be? So in this particular example, the ransom note had two A's and magazine had three. So magazine had two. So basically, magazine can have three and ransom note can have two. Still, it will return true. So it should be minimum. So R of I should always be less than R of I should be less than or equal to. Okay, no, it can't be less than or equal to, right? Wait. So I have m dot get with me. So from m dot get, I got 2 for this example. So if this is greater than or equal to r of I. Let me just try with this. I'm not sure if it will work, but I'll just try. So I'll just do print true here. And then in this else, I'll just return print false.
Yeah.
Just for debugging, I'll do this also. Print ransom. Mm, okay. So ransom is 2, magazine B is 1, and it returns me a true.
Okay.
And if I do it as A and then B, okay, it should return false, and it's returning me false. And if I do it as A and AB, oh,
I didn't return anything.
all right. So by default, also I'll have to return it. So I'll just do a print of false here. But since I have not written this thing in a function, uh, it'll get executed every time. So what I'll have to do is I'll have to change the way I've written my code. So maybe I'll just do define check ransom. It'll take two strings and no, it'll take these two only. Mm, ransom note and magazine. magazine. And I'll do all this inside this.
Mm.
Mm,
Okay.
shit. Uh, okay, I think now it'll be okay. So I have this, I have this. I'm printing also, and here instead of doing this, I'll just have to return true. And here also, I'll just have to return a false. And by default, also, I'll have to return a false. Return a false. And here, what I can do is I can just do print. The final result is check ransom of ransom note, comma magazine. Ransom note magazine. You just try if it's working or not. Did I? Mhm.
You gave MS capital for magazine when you're calling the function.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Thank you. So yes, here also I'm getting a false.
Okay, run this input. Um, double A, double B. Take this input from me and run it on your code.
Okay. So ransom note is.
Double A, double B,
Mm-hmm.
and magazine is AB, AB,
Mm-hmm.
CD,
Mm-hmm.
A. Run it.
Okay.
What should the output be?
Okay. So basically, there are two A's here and there are two A's here. Three A's here. Okay. And we have two B's. It should come as true.
Okay.
Mm, all right.
Okay. Just give double B there.
Here
No, no. In ransom node.
it is double B, na?
Remove the double A. Just double B.
Okay. Now also it should be true. Okay.
Okay. Let's just go through your code and just dry run it, no, with this particular example. Just dry run it.
All right, okay. So basically, I'm initializing empty dictionaries in the starting. So ransom node will have this and magazine will have this. So
Mm-hmm.
this particular code is kind of generating this particular thing here, this dictionary with the counts of all the elements, like how many times they're occurring in the string.
Mm-hmm.
So in the ransom node, we can see that A is coming only one time and B is coming two times. So that's what this particular snippet of code has done. And similarly, I have done the same thing for magazine.
Mm-hmm.
So counting the same thing for this. So here also I'm getting A is 3, B is 2, C is 1, and D is 1. And then basically I'm printing. So, and here is the main important logic part. So what I'm doing is I'm iterating through this ransom dictionary which I have created. So at first, what happens? It comes to A. So for INR, I is A at the starting.
Yeah.
And when I get here, I try to check if I have this A in my magazine. So if I have this A, I'll go inside. If I don't have this A in my magazine, it basically means that I cannot generate my ransom, right? Because if ransom has A and if my magazine doesn't have A, it basically means that I won't be able to create my ransom. So
Yeah.
I'll just return a false here.
Okay.
And if A is but there, then I check the count. So basically, if m dot get I, this basically means I'm checking if A is present in my dictionary M. So if it is there and the count of it is greater than or equal to my ransom of I. So the count of A in magazine should always be greater than or equal to the count which I have in ransom. It can't be less than this because if it's less, then basically I can't create my ransom. So it should always be greater than or equal to my value in the ransom. So if that is the case, I'm just returning true. else return false, and by default this function returns false.
Okay, so mm, mm, okay, I got one out input. So in the input which you have given, uh,
Mm-hmm.
put one E there, A B B E.
Here,
Yeah, and run it. What should be the output?
it should be false because I don't have E in my
Mm.
magazine.
Yeah, run it. Why is it true?
Mm, okay, this is kind of strange. Okay. For I in R, if m dot get of I, so it basically means it's going inside this one, right? I'll just print m dot get of I. What does it come? And I'll print my I here too. Let me just run it. Mm, mm, mm. Did it go inside this statement only once? For I in R, if
Mm.
m dot get of I, A is 3. But I will have other values also, right? Why is it happening like this? Print checking I. I'll just run this. Okay, checking I. I A is equal to 3. I A.
Not able to figure out why it's returning true.
No.
Because the first condition itself gets true, it returns true, it stops, it doesn't iterate for B or E. Just for A, it checks, it gets true, it
Mm-hmm.
returns true, it stops. It doesn't iterate for the next elements in your ransom
Oh,
dictionary.
okay. Mm, so if I just change my these things here, uh, okay, it's working now.
Okay. So what did you change now? And why is it working?
So basically, what I was doing before was I was just checking if it is greater than or equal to. So this particular statement here. So I was
Mm.
just checking if the count of my
And
particular
small
character is
letters then
greater than or equal
followed.
to in R.
Right.
I was returning it as true, and that's why my it was just returning true at the first iteration. But what I should have done instead was to check for the negative cases first. So
Mm.
if it is not there, I should have returned false, and by default, I should have been returning true. So that's what I changed here. So in the for loop, like where my main logic is written, I'm checking for the base cases, or maybe you can call it as edge cases, where I'm just returning false if it's false. And if it doesn't go anywhere here, I just get it as true.
Yeah. Okay, Mohit. Can you talk about the time complexity and space complexity for this code which you've written?
So the time complexity and space complexity for this code would be so this in this one I'm basically iterating through the whole. len of ransom note. So I can just keep it as len of r of as of now. And this I can just keep it as len of m. So, and here I'm just going through the len of r again. So I can just keep it as here. So the time complexity for this would be, at the worst case, it will be ransom note, ransom note plus magazine plus r, which is my dictionary.
Space complexity.
And if you're talking about the space, so what I have done is to return the answer. I've used these two things. So R is two dictionaries. So if all the characters are unique in this one, they'll also take the space for space exactly like ransom note and magazine. So the space complexity will also be ransom note plus magazine.
So you can tell if n is the length of ransom note and m is the length of magazine, then space complexity would be big O of,
If I'm doing this, it'll be n plus m, right?
yeah, and time complexity would also be the same.
Mhm. N plus m and m plus r.
Yeah, plus for the dictionary.
That's
Okay.
the final
You could
note.
have
Yeah.
optimized this code by only using one dictionary for the magazine. I mean, you can try it later on, but yeah, you don't have to create two dictionaries. One is enough, and you have to run the loop on the ransom. And for each letter, if it is present in the magazine, just decrease that count from
Mm-hmm.
the dictionary by one. Keep traversing. If anywhere you
Mm-hmm.
find that this letter is not present in the magazine, return false. Otherwise, keep going till the end. And if all are completed, just return true there. That is how
Okay.
I would have done it, but it's fine. Let's move on to the next question as we're running out of time.
All right.
So, next question is pasting it in your chat, and let me give you some examples as well.
Okay. Given an array nums of size and return the majority element. The majority element is the element that appears more than n by 2 times. You may assume that the majority element always exists in the array. Input nums is equal to 323. Output is equal to 3. Input nums 221122. So what I'll have to do, the approach which is coming to my mind is currently like the previous question. I'll just create a dictionary for this array with the count of each item in the list, and then I'll just iterate over the dictionary and check if that number is more than n by 2. And if it is, I'll just return true, else return false. Like not
Okay,
return false or true, I'll
think
just return that particular key.
can you think of a much simpler solution without using any hash map or anything? Just simple brute force, something very simple.
Something very simple. Uh, okay. Hmm.
You know the majority element will appear more than n by 2 times, right? You know what is n.
Mm-hmm.
Let's consider first input. So n is 3 there, right? 3
Yes.
by 2 is what? 1,
Okay.
right? So the
Huh.
count of our majority element would be greater than 1. Greater than 1 means 2 or 3 or anything like that, right? So
Okay.
for each number, just count the number of times it is occurring. Run a for loop. So there will be 2 for loops, right? For each number, you just count how many times it is occurring. Then you check if it is greater than n by 2. Then you return that number. Simple, right?
Uh, so this will have a time complexity of n square, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay.
So this is, yep.
Okay, okay. So, okay, you are asking me for a, okay, okay, brute force approach. All right, all right. Okay, I thought you were asking for a much simpler approach than this, so I was trying to figure out how I can
Then
do
I would
this
have
in
asked
a
more optimized
single
one.
go.
Simple one
Sorry.
means very basic, like simple brute force, the first
Okay,
thing
okay.
which comes in your mind when you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right, all right, all right. Yeah.
You can implement the hash map one, then we'll discuss the time complexity and space complexity of it, and then we'll see if we can optimize it further.
All right, okay, cool. I'll just take the bigger one. One, two. Define checkmate. I'll just take a nums, and what I'll do here is, I'll just create one more t, empty t, and for I in nums, if I in t of I is greater than equal to, sorry, plus equal to 1, else t of I is equal to I is equal to 1, and I'll just iterate through this again for I in d. If I'll just save it here also. So n will be my len of nums, and if t of I is greater than my n divided by
Okay. So it is returning 2.
yes,
Cos 2 is the majority element.
yes.
Okay. Increase number of 1 by 1 there. In nums, just put one more 1 anywhere. Now run it. Why is it giving this?
Okay, so I'll just print my d ones, what I get. hmm So 2 is 4, and okay, so for I and D, what is this? 1, 2.
Because there is no majority element present. What is the condition for majority element?
The majority element is the element that appears more than n by 2 times. You may.
Here, both of
Oh,
them
okay,
appear.
okay, okay. It should be okay, okay. Yes, yes,
It is
yes.
strictly greater than n by 2. That's it. So,
It should be
and
strictly greater than n by 2.
we have given a statement that you may assume that majority element always exists in the array. So
Mm-hmm.
You don't
So
have
if
to
I would have
consider
just,
this case, but if that was not given, then you would have to, yeah,
all right, okay, okay.
suppose it is not existing, then you have,
Mm-hmm.
okay. Okay, this looks
All
good.
right.
What is the time complexity for this? And space
The
complexity?
time complexity for this would be, so at first I'm iterating through my num. So if the length is n, then it will basically be O of n plus, and then I'm just iterating through my dictionary again. So if everything is unique and I have the count for like each of them have are unique, I'll again have this n. So basically I can just write it as 2n. If I remove this 2 like kind of thing in a big scale, then it will come as O of n itself. And since I'm creating a dictionary,
Mm-hmm.
it will also take a space of O of n.
Okay, that is correct. You can optimize
Mm.
it further. The space complexity also goes away with one approach.
All right, the space complexity will also go away.
Yep. We also have one approach
Mm,
where we get the time complexity as n log n, and space complexity is a constant there. But in this approach, we reduce the time complexity from n log n to n, but space complexity comes. There is one more approach where the time complexity remains linear and space complexity also goes away. So that is the most optimal approach. I am doubtful you might be knowing it if you haven't solved this problem before. I can give you a few minutes to think about it if you would like that. Otherwise, we can wrap up this interview, Mohit.
like it'll be good if you can just give me some kind of hint. I'll just try to think of it.
Okay, so you have to consider the first element as the majority element, like the candidate for majority element. Okay,
Okay.
then you move on to the next element one by one. If the
Mm-hmm.
next element is same as the your majority element, what you've considered, you increase the count by
Mm-hmm.
one. Okay, if it
Okay.
is not same, you decrease the count by one. And at one point, when your count becomes zero, right? If first element was one, second element was two. So these two are different, right? For this, you
Mm-hmm.
considered this as the majority element for one. You kept the count as one. You went ahead to the next element that was different than this. So you decrease the count by
Mm-hmm.
one. Now count is zero. So when count becomes zero, you consider the current element as majority element and you start doing the same thing again. And in the end, whatever you have in your candidate, whatever you're considering the element as majority key, that would be the answer.
Okay. So is this like a predefined algorithm for this particular problem? Is it something like that?
Yep, it is called
Okay.
Boyer-Moore, I think, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, it has a particular name and it is, yeah, for finding majority element.
Okay. Nice, nice. All right.
Yeah, Mohit, so my feedback would be to read the question properly and ask clarifying doubts if you have any, like at the start
Okay.
itself, talk about edge cases. What if this is
Mm-hmm.
not there? What will happen if my input is like that? And try to get more, questions answered from the interviewer at the start itself before you start to, like even think of an approach or type the code. Then
Okay.
discuss your approach properly, discuss the time complexity with the interviewer, then only proceed to code. Ask if you're moving in the right direction and this is the right approach, because otherwise you will be wasting your time and the interviewer's time if you're like thinking wrongly and then starting to proceed with it without confirming it, and that will waste time, right? So here you
Yes, yes.
were right in your approaches initially, and the first
Hmm.
question you made a mistake and you were not able to find it also. So that was a negative point from my side. Second
Okay.
question, yeah, you thought of the solution pretty quick and you implemented it as well, but you were not able to think of the simpler solution which was there for it. So that is also a negative point.
Okay.
So yeah, any questions?
Uh, no, Ankit, I think I'm good.
Okay, cool. Thanks,
Yeah,
Mohit. And yeah, we'll see you.
sure.